Hello, hello, and welcome to Trap Tunnels for Twine Peaks, Storm Shield, Homebase, North direction. So last video we took care of the East direction, so if you don't have that built, check out that video to get that. We also built a Smasher bait and switch around the Homebase, so if you don't know how to build that, I'll put that at the end as well, for anyone who still needs to know. But yeah, we're going to cover the North direction. So for this one, we have, I guess, technically 3 spawns, but it's sort of just one spawn stretched across this area here. So you'll get some enemies spawn up on the left on that ridge, on the right on that ridge, and then some down at the bottom down there. So instead of building some traps there, some traps as we go up there, and some traps there, what we're going to do is do the main bit up here, funnel them into sort of 2 tunnels that'll come from the left to the middle to the middle, and the right to the middle. That way we use less traps, it's more efficient, and all that good stuff. So what we're going to do to start off is block off 3 of the 5 paths they can take up here. And then in the 2 that are remaining, we will build the bit they're going to come up in, like so. Then down at the bottom, you want to build walls on these ones. And do a bit of that at both sides. We're going to utilize this space for broadside traps. So this middle bit, we just want to block this off entirely, like so. And then here, same again, fully block that off so that any husks that are coming up from this main spawn in the middle will have to either go left or right. Then we'll put a wall there like so, and one there. One at either side of this sort of ridge area. And then throughout this entire thing, we will want floors. It's kind of less important for floors here. You can still put them. I think, especially the one in the corner, that's probably the least important one. You probably don't really need a floor there, so you can leave that one and save the material and the build count for the area, because the enemies that spawn in this sort of area, they're going to come through and they're just going to sort of go like that. Now, what you can do, which I don't necessarily recommend, but you could put like a low wall like this, so that broadside traps can still fling back and forward, but you can put extra damage with wall dynamos here, and then you'd put something here on the floor. The only thing is, when smashers come up this central bit, because they have to go all the way around, they're more tempted to just charge through this one, so I'd recommend leaving that open. It might seem a bit less efficient, but that's how we're going to go about it. Put a wall there because we're going to use broadside traps to fling back and forward. Do the same on this side, and in fact we'll go all the way to there at this side, just to stop things from wanting to go down here. While we are here as well, actually, let's block off this bit to stop any flankers. We obviously don't want them trying to come up this way, so what we'll do is just block the floor and then cones on top to really discourage them from coming up. You can also do an extra bit here if you have the build left to do it. That's up to you. I don't think you would need it, because down here on these, you probably want the side covered as well. On these ones, we'll put wall spikes, which will, deter them from trying to go up there. So now that you've got these placed up here, I think that's probably all you need really for the floor. So what we'll do now is build sort of a 2-in-1. So it's going to, whoops, not there. It's going to counter flingers, but at the same time, it's going to also be used for tire traps to do huge damage to all enemies as they come through the area. So you're basically just covering the floor that you've placed down at the bottom. So just pretty much matching the pattern that we've placed down there. You don't really need to go for this, but you could try cover it if you're really paranoid. But you shouldn't need to cover that off. What you potentially could do is just put that like that. The reason being is you might have flingers, try to come here and throw from here. In fact, I actually recommend putting that there. Yeah, let's go ahead and advocate for that. Put that there, because what we can do is we can put an electric field trap on that, which will damage enemies as they come by. So I recommend that over any other method for building there. Then, once we have this built, we can extend it out a little bit. We cover this one as well in the corner, just to stop any flingers. But it is also useful because the traps will, don't want to get hit by that, the traps that we place on these, the tire traps will affect things as they walk into the tunnels here, as well as it, blocking off flingers from being... I thought I was going to be able to jump up that. Stop flingers from being able to fling into the tunnels. If we get rid of these two that are sort of over the ramp, what we do instead is, if we stand over here, we can probably place a wall down there, and then at the other side, place one there, and then drop down. And if we just get this here, what this will do is, again, as the flingers come up here, you know, they're not going to be able to get any sort of angle. I mean, if you're paranoid about this, but you could put a wall up there, but I really don't think they're going to be able to get it from the angle. But if you do notice them at any point, obviously you can pop that there. But yeah, these three will then drop tires all the way down this ramp. I mean, you could go one further and do another one, you know, like that, and then another layer of... But I really don't think you'd need that much. You know, they're going to be taking so much damage from that, and everything else we place down. That should be plenty to cover the husks. So that's all we need for this bit. Obviously, we've covered the flanking route down there. And again, yeah, you can place a bit there if you need to. Now all we need to do is cover the flanking at this side. So all we're going to do is just where our trap tunnels end here. We're just going to bring walls across, down across here, and across here. So, you know, not too many walls needed to cover that area. And it's going to stop anything from getting through. If you're paranoid about this little gap here, I don't actually think the husks can make their way through it. I don't think they're smart enough. But if you want to just add an extra wall there, just to be 100% secure, go ahead and pop that there. But that should cover all the build needed for that. And I'm going to go ahead and show the traps for this. So if you know what, you know, perks you want on your traps and stuff, you can just skip the next section. But as I show that, I'll level up the metal, and then we can go ahead and place our traps down. The anti-air trap 1 range on there for durability. Ceiling drop trap, so we're going for a crit build on this one as well. Ceiling electric field, we're going for a crit build once again, you know it. Floor freeze trap, so for this one we've got 2 impact and knockback. Floor launcher, so for whacking all the impact and knockback on there. Tar pit trap, so for this one I like to go for full durability. Wall darts, another crit build, another all-rounder build. The wall dynamo trap, so for this one I've gone for energy. Wall launcher, so for this one we've got 3 impact and knockback. Wall lights, so another 3 impact, 2 reload speed. Wall spikes here, we've gone for crit build, so 2 crit rating, 2 crit damage. Wooden floor spikes, so crit build on this one, that's pretty much... So now that you've got all that placed down, and you've potentially leveled it up, or you haven't, you don't really need to level it up before putting traps down, do you? We've got all of that built, it looks absolutely beautiful. So we're going to start over here with the blockade, so we're going to put wall spikes down here. I've gone for healing wall spikes. You can put it on the side. What you can actually do as well, if you really want to, is you can get under here and put it on the back side of this, because then it'll have like the double the repair speed. I don't really think you need it for this, because you're only going to get the occasional, you know, odd husk come out here to break it, at which point by the time the next one comes, it's going to have fully repaired. So yeah, I really don't think you need that there. But you know, it's up to you how you want to go about that. So for floor traps up here, you've got 2 options. So you can use freeze traps, which are obviously going to freeze the enemies and, you know, halt them in their place and keep them here longer for the damage traps. Or you can use floor spikes to also slow them, but it won't freeze them in place, obviously. But it will keep them slower, but also deal damage as well. So I think what is best is to use freeze traps as you come in. So we're gonna face forward, because the freeze traps are gonna sort of knock the enemies back a little bit away from the place you're facing. So for this one, I'm gonna actually push them this way, and then here we'll push them backwards out again. Here you could probably start to do floor spikes if you want to do a bit of damage to the ones that make it this far, or you can just freeze them to deal more damage. I think I'm just gonna go full freeze, to be honest. But you know, feel free to experiment with this. Just make sure you're looking in a similar direction to me when you place them. But generally, you just want to sort of look the way that the husks will be walking through as you're placing them. It's a good rule of thumb, because then it's going to push them the opposite direction, i.e. where they came from. Thank you so much for watching to this point. If you are enjoying the video, please do let me know in the comments. But also, I am on the Support a Creator program, so if you could please use my code CAMIG. And be sure to subscribe as well to get all future videos. Thank you so much. Now, for traps in here, basically the rule of thumb with this is anytime you see two walls facing each other, so this one, for example, and this one, or this one and this one, here and here, anytime you see those, you're going to go for broadside traps. So I'm going to use the highest leveled ones I have, which is 136. So obviously anytime we see two walls opposite each other, we place these. And that's it for this area. If we go down to this side, we've got two walls opposite each other here, then here, and again here. Now, some advocate for wall darts, but personally I think the broadsides are far better, especially when you have two walls opposite each other like that. Then the only place we're going to use wall launchers here are these right here, if I can find them, because these are facing such an open area here, so anything that comes up here gets frozen, is going to get knocked all the way back down there, and then it'll have to come back up again, get hit by the tire traps, and then the broadside again. So again, at this side, we will put wall launchers there. And then for any remaining walls, you don't need to put traps on these front ones. That would be overkill. You could put wall darts here if you want. I don't think you're going to need it. I'm not going to put any there, but it's up to you. Then I think for the rest of them, wall darts should be good. So that's going to fire all the way out there, right? And then here, it's going to hit them to go up. Broadsides here wouldn't be useful because it would shoot out the cannons. They'd bounce up, potentially go out there, or, you know, I haven't actually fully tested it, how it works on an angle like this. It might be useful to, you know, give that a test. And then at the top here, we can put wall darts. The only thing that's making it to this point is smashers. So that's the reason we haven't built anything up here. We've got this, which is the smasher bait and switch, but the only thing that's going to make it this far up is smashers. You'll see when we finally get the, you know, testing and proof that the Endurance AFK build does work. So you can put wall darts at the top. You probably don't need it, to be honest, if you don't want to use the extra trap. But I'm going to put it down, and that should cover all of those. Then, as I mentioned, when I place these, we're going to put ceiling electric field here. The reason being, enemies are going to come up, they're going to come through here. These ones are going to come up and have to go around here, both of which will get hit by this trap, which utilizes the space, and it also doubles as a flinger shield. So the flingers won't be able to use that for getting their their husks through. Then finally, we've got ceiling drop. So again, for this, we want to be facing towards where the husks are going to be walking when we place these. So at this point, they're going to be walking this way. So for this one, we've placed it that way. Here, they'll be coming from here. So we've placed it that way. This one will do. It's basically just the same as the freeze traps. You know, when you saw me place those. I will show you the direction for each one, though, so don't worry. You need to slow this down or go back. Don't worry, feel free to do that. On this one, facing forward. Then here, facing to the side. Here, facing that way. Here, facing out. Here, facing out towards where they come from. And then finally here, there. And then we do have three more down here. All three of these are going to be facing the same direction, just towards your home base, even. And that's all those covered. There are these two here, which I did actually forget about. I'm not going to lie to you. Both of these just want to be, again, facing your storm shield. I'll go all the way over here and do the same. And that covers your traps. So all those traps are placed. You're good to go. Yeah. Now, I think the only last thing to cover is to show you how to build the Smasher bait and switch. So I recorded this for the other video, so either you can go watch that video and watch it there, or I'll show it here as well for anyone that needs to see how it's built. And, you know, we'll show that. But yeah, thank you so much for watching to this point. Hope you're finding it useful. As promised, we're going to do the bait and switch for the Smashers. So basically, to explain how this works, Smasher's main objective is obviously to smash. So, you know, the code of the AI is pretty stupid in a sense that, you know, the devs, I guess, think you're going to build around the base, you know, just building walls around it. And so the Smashers are basically just going to sense any builds that either block the husks from getting to the main base or just detect any structures that are near the main objective, whether it is the home base or an amplifier. So what we can do is we can just sort of build structures around the top of the base, which isn't actually connected to the floor here, and the smashers will see it as something that they need to smash, and we can use that to lure them around a different direction, and basically just loop them round, keep knocking them off, keep slightly damaging them, and it just keeps them busy. It's basically just a way to waste their time. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to bring them up across a bridge up here, which we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, just to the side of the center of this, and then we'll bring it forward to here, and we'll do a little more fancy stuff over there. I'll show that in a second. But as they come across, as the smashers come across this, we can knock them down. So if we do this here, this is all we should need, because there's not going to be that many smashers. But the reason for this is if it was like this, they could walk in the center. Whereas if we do this, we're forcing them to walk in this shallow bit, this really thin sort of corridor. And then when they get impacted by the wall lights, they're going to fall down. If they were sort of here, they'd just sort of stumble to here. So that's the reason for doing that. And then obviously we need the walls for the traps to go on. Now, you might want to reinforce this, because obviously at that point, the only thing keeping this up was this floor. And if they break that floor, you're screwed. So we're going to put this wall here. You could also connect it, I don't know, a bit further down, but I think that one wall should be enough. Then once we've brought them all the way over here towards the actual amplifier or home base in this case, what we need to do is we need to connect it across the home base, because obviously it needs to be, the AI needs to think that this is something that's, protecting it from husks. So the AI is stupid and doesn't realize that this isn't actually, protecting the build at all. But we're not finished there. We do also need these bridges round. Do not ask me how I know this works, or that how anyone knows this works. This is just one of those weird coding AI things with the, the enemy AI. With the enemy AI that just doesn't really make too much sense. But if you think about it a little bit, it's like, oh, they just did it, to try cover all cases. So if we build the base in this way, now the smashers think this is something that's, really protecting the base, even though it's not touching the ground. Like, they're stupid. They're so stupid. But they will try go up to break that structure up there. So they're going to go all the way up here, all the way around here and across, and they're going to try, break all this stuff. Now, they're never going to make it this far, because we obviously have the light traps here. Now, if you're really, really paranoid, you could do an extra one here, or, 2 here, but you're going to get so few smashers that I really don't think you need it, and you've got 2 light traps. It'll be enough impact to knock them off. So we'll just go ahead and level all this stuff up and then put the traps on again. As we see the last few pieces, reinforcing the metal. No, I'm not going to do the whole thing, David Amber. So now that we've got it level 3, I mean, you don't need to do that before you place the traps, obviously. We're going to put walls, these are floor spikes, hello? Floor spikes on this spot here, just to do a little bit of damage each time the smasher comes up to try finish him off. But the main thing you're going to need, and you don't really need the spikes, but the main thing is the wall light traps here. So as I say, the smashers are going to come through this little thin bit, they'll get hit by these, get knocked off, and then they'll come all the way back round. They'll never make it to this bit over here. Thank you so much for watching, and check out the other videos. See you later.